This is the sixth video in the series for Microsoft Word 2013, and this video I'm going to talk about explaining it to you headers and footers and how to apply different headers on different pages. So I'm going to start with the blank document, and I want to type some words up. So what I'll do is I'll just type equal rand and then put a bracket and put 10 comma 10 and close the bracket. That means give me random words. I want 10. The first 10 is for paragraphs and 10 is for lines. So I hit enter. So now I've got 3 pages. If you look on the left hand side on the bottom, it will tell you how many pages you have and how many words. So if I scroll up, this is page 2 and then I have page 3. So I've got 10 different paragraphs with 10 different lines in it. So what I want to talk about is about in the Insert tab, I want to talk about headers and footers. And we'll also talk about the page numbers thing. So if I want, I can click on headers. And I can choose the different styles of headers. Now if I did not want a header on page 1 then, or a different type of header on page 1, so I can just come down to page 2. So I click here because I want a header on page 2. So it's better to come here, and then I go to header and I'll choose this type of a header. Right now there are 3 columns. I can type 3 different things in it. So I click it. Now you see I'm in header and footer tools. I'm in the design of that, and I can close it when you are done so that you can go back to your actual document. So I'll click here and say I wanted to put my name, and up here I wanted to say something else like chapter 1 or whatever, and then up here I wanted to put the page number. But what I did not want to type page 1, page 2. I wanted to put a page number so that in the next page it will automatically say page 3. So to do that, you go to this section on the left hand side called page number, click it, and you would have thought that you would have clicked on top of the page and then choose this one because I want the page number here. But if you do that, you will lose the other things you've typed and you will only have the page number. So what you have to do is you go to the option where it says current position, and then you choose any of these styles of page numbers. There are different types. There is also one that will tell you page 1 of 1 or 2 of 2. So if I click it, it puts page 2 of 3. Now because I want a different header on page 1, I'll put a check mark in the box that says different first page. So when I do that, now I'm going to close the header, and let's see if I scroll up to my page 1. So there is no header here. Now if I want, I can double click here and I can put a different type of a header here from using this option too. So you can enter headers like this too. So I can click here and then I can choose this type of a header or any of the other styles which are available. So if I choose this, now I can put whatever I want, and I can choose a date and I can close it. So let's see, this is header 1, this is header 2. Now whatever is on page 2 will show up on page 3 also. Just the page number will say page 3 of 3. And if you want, you can look at your print preview. And I'm just going to reduce the zoom. So there are my 3 pages. And I can come back to home. For some reason my screen chat was showing something else. I can click on this arrow, the back arrow on the left hand side, so I can come back to the screen. So this is it when it comes to adding headers and footers. I can even go back to insert and I can click on footer, and then I can choose any styles of footer. Or I can go to insert, page numbers, and I can just say put it on the bottom of the page. If you only want the page number, then you can just do that. And you can also format the page numbers if you wanted the numbering system to be different. So 1, 2, 3, you want A, B, C or something like that, or a numeral, you can choose that. So I'll just choose page number, bottom of page, and I'll just choose a style of a page number. Say I want the page number in the middle, so I'll just click it. And you see there it is, page 1. I'll close this. So let's see, if I scroll down, this is page 1 bottom. This is, because you see now, again, because my cursor was on page 1, it only put a footer on page 1, because when I double click here, it says different first page. So whatever I put here doesn't show up on page 2. So I'll have to close here. I'll scroll down to page 2, and then I'll go to insert, page number, bottom of page, and then I'll have to choose this again. Or I can choose a different style, and I can close this. So this is page 2 footer, and it's there because I only want to put a page number, and this is page 3 footer. Now if I scroll up to page 1, right there, page 1 has a different footer. So this is the way you add footers. Now if I wanted to remove the footers or the headers, I can double click on it and delete it, or I can go back to insert, click on page number, and I can say remove page numbers. So that removes page 1. Let's see if it removed it on page 2. It's still there, so I'll click here on page 2, and I can say page number, remove page numbers. So now it's removed it from page 2, and I believe it should remove it from page 3. It did. And you could always go to header, and then you can also say remove header. So that will remove it from this page. And then I'll have to go back to page 2 and then choose to remove the header on page 2. So while we are on this topic, I want to talk to you about how to change the page 3 header. Say for example, for various reasons you wanted the page 3 header to be different. Or for example, what I'll do is this is my page 3, I'll click here and I will insert a blank page. Okay. So now you see when I did that, page 4 automatically copied over the header from page 3. So now say for example, this was my chapter 2, so I don't want the header to say chapter 1. So if that was the case, there are a couple of ways of doing this. If you just try to change it from here, whatever you type here will show up on page 3 and also page 2. So right now, all of these pages are one big section. So what you have to do is, this is the end of the page here, so I have to put like a break here, so that whatever is coming after this page will be a new section. Because right now all the 4 pages are considered one section. And I'll do a separate video for this, talking a little bit more about it, but as I'm talking about this header, I would rather do that. So I'll go to page layout, and I'll go to the breaks button. And for now, we're just going to concern ourselves with 2 different types of breaks. One is a continuous break, and the other one is called a next page break. So when I had inserted the page, instead of doing this blank page, I would have just inserted a break here, whether I want a next page break. That means whatever is starting after this line should be on a new page, because I want the chapter 2 to start on a new page. And a continuous break means I want to put a break, but whatever is following it should continue to start typing right underneath here. It's just that it will be a separate section. So I'm just going to hit undo, so that I'm back to 3 pages. So if you look on the left hand side on the bottom, it says 3 of 3. And now here I'm going to go to page layout, break, and I'll say a next page. So when I do that, I am on page 4, and up here I'll just put something like chapter 2 start or something like that just for now. And I scroll up, and you'll find that you don't see anything that tells you that there is a break here. To see your breaks, what you have to do is go to the home button and then press the show and hide button. So this button, which I talked about in the second video, I think, I click it. Now there are my breaks. And as you know, the dots means there is a space. This symbol means that I put that there's a tab used here. If I wanted to delete the break, I click in front of it and I hit the delete button on the keyboard, and the break will be removed. So these are hidden elements, and for you to see that, you have to hit the show and hide button. So if I press it again, it removes it. So I'll come back here. So now if you look here, there is nothing in my page 4 header. So I'm going to click on page 4 and I can just double click on this header here. And what you have to do is, before you start doing something, there is a button here that says link to previous. You have to turn it off so that whatever I put here doesn't get linked to the previous. So right now it is linked, so I press it one time. Now whatever I type here is not going to affect the previous header. So now I can go to the header and I can choose a different style, and then I can just put whatever I want. And then I can say close. So let's see, this is chapter 2, which is page 4. Let's scroll up. And the page 3 header is not affected, neither is the page 2 header affected. So that's a really good way to have control. So if you're writing chapters, you can keep on inserting the breaks wherever you wanted different headers. And wherever you did not want to start a new page break, then you just make sure you just start a section break, because it just gives you more control over that section within the page. So say for example, I'll show you an example. If I wanted control over this paragraph, so I'll click here and I'll insert a continuous break, and I'll scroll down here and I'll click at the end here, and I'll also insert a continuous break. And just to show you what happened, I'll go to home, turn on the show and hide. So there is the break here and break. So if I click here now and say I wanted the margins on this to be, instead of it being 1 inch on the left and the right, I wanted the margin to be 0.5 inches. So I can go to page layout, click on the margins, and then go to custom margins. Or you can click on the page setup, the more button here. And then from here, it says, you see on the bottom, it says apply to this section. Before, you would not have had this option because this whole section will be one thing, like the whole document type of a thing. So now I can reduce the left to 0.5 and the right to 0.5. And I'll click OK. And now you see the difference. This margin is 0.5, and then when I click here, this is 1 inch margin on the left and the right. So this is another idea which I'll explore a little bit more later. Now while we are on the topic of inserting, so in the insert you can also insert comments. So say for example I wanted to highlight this and then insert a comment on it. So I click it and you see on the right hand side it started adding this, and I can type my comment here. So this is something where other people can also come and use like a collaboration where they can leave notes for each other. And there it is. If I want to delete it, I can right click. I need to properly right click, and there is the delete option. If I want now, I can go to home, turn off the show and hide button. And in the insert tab, you'll also find this option called text box. So this is just a nice little thing that you can add to any document. So say I wanted to add like a side section to this document, I can click it, and now here I can type something here. I'll just reduce the zoom to show you what it looks like, so you get a better idea of this. So you see, there it is. So it's a nice little way to arrange this, and the other pages don't have it. It's only on this. Can increase the zoom again. And there are lots of other options that you get as a result of that. I can choose how I want this section to work with my text. I can even make it behind text, which will not make much sense in this case, but there's also other options for formatting. And if you don't want it, you can delete that. So that's under insert, and there are other options like text boxes. You can add it like this. And you can put whatever text you want in it, and it just makes your document look better. In some places you may prefer to have that. There is an option to choose drop caps. So if I click next to C, I can click on the drop cap and then just choose it like this. So you see the C changing, or I can have it in the margin like that. So usually in the start of a document, at the first word, I can make it drop cap like this. You also have an option to insert WordArt. So there are different styles. You can choose something. And then, so there it is. And I can type something in its place. And then I can choose how the text, the WordArt should work around it. So I can say work around that. So if I move this in the middle, now you see the words are moving around it because I choose that type of a wrap text. Now you have different tools for it here. You can change the styles to put out whatever you want. You can change the colors to whatever you prefer. And there are also changes that you can make to the WordArt style itself. And then you can look into it. You'll find there's a lot of other options: shape effects, reflections, the text direction that you want things to be at, the position. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do. And if you don't want it again, you can just delete it. And I can also change the shapes of it by going to Edit Shape, Change Shape, and I can choose something else like a heart shape. And I can just go to the corner and make it a little bigger. It's always best to go to the corners to make it big, rather than going sideways, because then the proportions are not good. So I can click here and I can choose Delete to remove it. So that's under Insert, WordArt. You can also insert hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are, when you have www.google.com or whatever website. So say, for example, I want them to go to some websites when they click on this link. So I can highlight it. I can insert a hyperlink. And then up here, I can copy and paste the web address, or I can just type www.google.ca and then click OK. So now you see it's like a hyperlink. So you can hold the control button and you click it, and it will take you to that website. So you see when you point to it, it tells you hold the control and then click on the link to follow it. I can always right click on it and I can remove the hyperlink, or I can even edit it. I can remove it. Now there is also an option called Bookmark. So say, for example, I'm going to scroll down and I'll highlight this and I'll make it a bookmark. So I'll highlight this and I'll add a bookmark and I'll say Chapter 2 Start. So that's the name of the bookmark, and I'll click Add. So that bookmark is added. And now say, for example, from here I wanted them to skip to the Chapter 2. So if I want, I can highlight this, go to Hyperlink, insert hyperlink, and then from this left hand corner I'll choose the option Place in this document. And then there is the bookmarks option, and there are two different bookmarks. I can click on this one and I click OK. So now that's a bookmark. So if I hold the control key and I click it, it takes me to that Chapter 2 Start, or wherever the bookmark is. So that's the idea of bookmark. So you create one and then you add the bookmark through the hyperlink. And as usual, whenever you point to it, it will give you an explanation as to how to go about it. Select the content, insert a bookmark, and then add a hyperlink, and you can always read more about it. So this finishes up most of the important buttons under the insert, and we talked about in this video how to insert headers and footers and page numbers and have different headers on different pages or different sections, and also how to add comments, hyperlinks, bookmarks, how to insert text boxes, and also WordArt and dropcap. Thank you for watching. 10 is for lines, so I hit enter. So now I've got 3 pages. If you look on the left hand side on the bottom, it will tell you how many pages you have and how many words. So if I scroll up, this is page 2, and then I have page 3. So I've got 10 different paragraphs with 10 different lines in it. So what I want to talk about is in the Insert tab, I want to talk about headers and footers. and we'll also talk about the page numbers thing. So if I want, I can click on headers, and I can choose the different styles of headers. This is the sixth video in the series for Microsoft Word 2013, and this video I'm going to talk about explaining it to you headers and footers and how to apply different headers on different pages. So I'm going to start with the blank document, and I want to type some words up. So what I'll do is I'll just type equal RAND, rand, and then put a bracket and put 10 comma 10 and close the bracket. That means give me random words. I want 10. The first 10 is for paragraphs, and if you do that, you will lose the other things you've typed and you will only have the page number. So what you have to do is you go to the option where it says current position, and then you choose any of these styles of page numbers. There are different types. There is also one that will tell you page 1 of 1 or 2 of 2. So if I click it, it puts page 2 of 3. Now because I want a different header on page 1, I'll put a check mark in the box that says different first page. So when I do that, now I'm going to close the header. Now if I did not want a header on page 1 then, or a different type of header on page 1, so I can just come down to page 2. So I click here because I want a header on page 2. So it's better to come here, and then I go to header, and I'll choose this type of a header right now. There are 3 columns. I can type 3 different things in it. So I click it. Now you see I'm in header and footer tools. I'm in the design of that, and I can close it when you are done so that you can go back to your actual document. So I'll click here and say I wanted to put my name, and up here I wanted to say something else like chapter 1 or whatever, and then up here I wanted to put the page number. But what I did not want to type page 1, page 2. I wanted to put a page number so that in the next page it will automatically say page 3. So to do that, you go to this section on the left hand side called page number, click it, and you would have thought that you would have clicked on top of the page and then choose this one because I want the page number here. But if